First basemen are often thought of as the cavemen of our sport. Big lugs with clubs, hitting dingers with their muscle fingers. But inside those magnificent skulls is the heart of a lover, generously accepting every tender ball dangled in front of them, caressing the incoming projectiles like a girl you've been friend-zoned by who just broke up with their boyfriend. A girl who you hold all night long, thinking to yourself, this is it. Finally, I'm gonna get with Sally Davidson, hottest girl I've ever seen, since Georgina Cockburn, only to find that your cock has indeed just been burned again, as she receives a text to come to Jeremy's apartment. He's throwing a mad rager, and she likes mad ragers, and knows you hate them, so she pretends to invite you and then leaves, only to meet a dude named Brad, who she falls in love with and has 6 kids, one of which, Angel, grows up to become a sexy nurse. The two of you meet after being diagnosed with leukemia. You seduce her, and get her to become your wife, and live happily ever after. At least until a week later, when you die, not aware she had just used you, and had been the one who poisoned you with leukemia in the first place, as you had made billions of dollars selling sappy greetings cards, all of which were themed around longing and sadness, no one knowing but you that all were written for Sally Davidson, to whom Angel split half of her inheritance, and then joined with to laugh on your grave. So yeah, first baseman and stuff. So who's the best? That's right, that's the video. Find out here, friends. Let's take a look at the numbers. Yeah, well, look at the numbers. Number 10. Jose Abreu. Yay. This guy's been a slightly above average hitter for like 6 years now. Consistent but unspectacular, which I would respect more if he was a better defender. That being said, the guy spanks the crap out of the ball, and you gotta respect a good spanking. Last year, he had over 30 home runs, for the 4th time in his 6-year career, including a .503 slugging. His average exit velocity was actually his highest recorded total, at 92.1 miles an hour, and so was his 48.2 hard hit percentage. This helped offset his career high 21.9% strikeout rate, with his expected weighted on base average staying right around his career average at 359. The only knock on his hitting is that he doesn't really draw walks. He only drew 36 in 2019, 8 below his 162 game average. While he may not be the best all-around hitter, Jose's been a great source of power throughout his career, and a guy whose consistent play earned him a spot on this list. He may be 33, but that don't mean it's time to chop down this tree. Number 9. Christian Walker. Like a midget popping out of a birthday cake, this one may be a surprise. But I don't know your relationship with midgets, so I can't say. He had a nice year at the plate, hitting 29 homers and knocking 26 doubles, with the 825 OPS. Even more encouraging, his expected weighted on base was 17 points higher than his actual. He can also draw a walk, with an 11.1% walk rate, and his 91.1 miles per hour average exit velocity ties him with Ji-Man Choi for 7th among qualified first basemen. He's kind of like a fly ball hitting, more patient CJ Cron. Though unlike Cron, Walker is a good base runner. His 27.2 feet per second sprint speed was 8th among first basemen, with more than 100 competitive runs. And also unlike Cron, Walker has that Mama Grizzly defense going on at first. Last year, Christian was second only to Matt Olson amongst MLB first basemen, registering 9 outs above average, 4 higher than Paul Goldschmidt underneath him, and was also second in defensive runs saved, with 7. So he's an above average hitter, a good base runner, and a next to elite defender. You may call him Walker, but that don't mean he needs one. Number 8. Carlos Santana. The old vet has been a quality first baseman for a decade now, and has never had an OPS under 750. It's amazing it took until 2019 to get him to his first All-Star game. Walks have always been an underrated stat, and this man takes a lot of them. On the beach, in the woods, down an alley, he don't care. He'll take a walk anywhere. He had 108 walks last year, to go along with 34 homers and 30 doubles. While in terms of results, it was his best statistical season, rocking an insensitive 911 OPS. The deeper numbers suggest this was more fortune than him suddenly finding something he didn't have before. His expected weighted on base was right in line with his recorded average, up 6 points, so his 380 weighted on base was 13 points higher than you would expect. The biggest spike came via his average exit velocity. It was 91.8 miles an hour, up 3 miles an hour from the year before, 2 higher than his recorded average. Pretty eye-opening increase, but the man's 33 years old, with a lot of miles on his body. I'm thinking that was more of an anomaly than a trend you can expect to continue. Either way, he's a good power guy who gets on base. Papa, is that Santa? Nah, that's Santana. Number 7. Paul Goldschmidt. I just made a video on why he was better than his 2019 results. Link in the description. Though you'd be naive if you're expecting the Paul Goldschmidt of old to suddenly rise from the depths of the St. Louis dirt this year. A higher launch angle, lower exit velocity, and a more aggressive approach all led to Paulie G having a down year in 2019. His walk rate was the lowest it's ever been since becoming an MVP candidate in 2013, at 11.4%, and he's struggling against high velocity, only getting 7 hits against pitches over 95 miles an hour. He's still a good base runner, even if he's never going to swipe 30 bags again, and a plus defender, third amongst first basemen recording 5 outs above average, and 6th in defensive runs saved. Let's hope for a bit of a bounce back. Last year, he had a really solid second half, which included a 267 average, 349 on base, 538 slugging, and an 886 OPS. I think that's a good barometer for what we can expect. Number 6. Josh Bell. The switch-hitting big bat paddywhack knocked 37 dingaroonies last year, propelled by an otherworldly month of May, where he hit 390 with a 442 on base, 797 slugging, and a 1,238 OPS. It was the only month he hit over 300, and he wound up with a 277 average, 367 on base, a 569 slugging, and a 936 OPS. So the man had a breakout year, his OPS climbing 168 points from 768 the year before. His 92.3 mile-an-hour exit velocity was first among qualified first basemen, a 2.3 mile-an-hour increase from the year prior. This led to him being fourth among first basemen and expected slugging at 556. He also ranked fifth, with the 381 expected weighted on base average. His first pitch aggressiveness jumped from 27.8% to 38%, and this new, aggressive approach shot him up this list. Unfortunately, he's an ass defender. Among first basemen, he's fourth from last in outs above average, and second to last in defensive runs saved, and dead last, by far, with his ultimate zone rating of -7.5. So he's a guy who smacks the crap out of the ball and just needs to develop a little bit more consistency. I think he has incredible potential. We'll see how he does this year. Number 5. Pete Alonso. Is he seeing terrorists in the stands? 'Cause he's sure dropping bombs on them. Old Petey must have been eating those Wheaties, as he hit 53 home runs to break the rookie home run record. He has a solid 10.4% walk rate, so that 358 on base, 583 slugging, and 941 OPS solidifies plenty of reason to be optimistic, given this will only be his second year in the big leagues. That being said, there are reasons to cool down the hype a little bit, but note, he's still number 5 on this list. His 90.6 exit velocity, for instance, was only 12th amongst qualified first basemen, and his 42.3 hard hit percentage was only 15th. What saved him was his barrel rate at 15.8%, first amongst qualified first basemen. His average exit velocity on fly balls and line drives was 96.5 miles an hour, second amongst qualified first basemen. But it still remains that Pete's expected weighted on base average was 374, sixth among first basemen, lower than his actual 384. He's undeniably a great power guy, but that doesn't necessarily make him a great hitter. Yet. He's also a straight trash defender, dead last in recorded outs above average amongst first basemen with -7 runs. He was likewise dead last in defensive runs saved at -6. Number 4. Anthony Rizzo. This cub don't need a mama, 'cause he can fend for himself. Rizzo had an impressive 390 weighted on base in 2019, 12th in Major League Baseball. While he's not the hardest hitting first baseman, he still had 27 homers and 29 doubles, leading to a .520 slugging. What I really like about Anthony is that he's patient, rocking a .405 on base last year, not only taking 4 ball walks, getting 71 of them, but he also loves getting hit. Anthony led the league with 27 hit by pitches last year, the 3rd time in his career he's led the league. He also doesn't strike out a lot, and is someone who has the potential to hit 300, having hit over 290 in 2 of the past 4 years. All in all, he's just a really solid, all-around hitter. The only downside to his game is that he's not a good base runner. And, even though he has past fielding pedigree, Anthony was 35th in outs above average last year among first basemen at -3. Granted, his defensive run saved was a much more optimistic, +3. So it's not so much a knock, as much as me saying, I'm not just going to say he's a great defender because he won a Gold Glove 2 years ago. Number 3. Max Muncy. With positionless baseball becoming more and more common, Max Muncy is the first player on this list to not play the majority of his innings at first base last year. But with Gavin Lux expected to play second, it looks like Max is coming back to first, so that's why he's listed here. Brownie points for his versatility, though perhaps he should even be number 2 on this list. He played really nice defense at every position he played last year, and he proved his breakout 2018 wasn't a fluke. Though his weighted on base decreased 34 points from 407 to 373, his expected weighted on base fell 9 points from 394 to 385. His 27.7 feet per second sprint speed ranks him number 1 on this list, and Fangraph's base running stat puts him at 4.8 runs above average. So not only do you have a guy that can serviceably field first, second, and third, he also runs well above average for a first baseman, and you're not feeling like you're losing any of the hitting potential. He bopped 35 home runs for the 2nd straight year, and his 15.3% walk rate was 9th in the league, just behind our buddy Carlos Santana. He takes pitches, barrels up balls, and is an all-around great player. Muncy at number 3. Number 2. Matt Olson. While I wouldn't have put him second on this list, solely for his hitting, Matt Olson is another solid ball spanker. His average exit velocity was 91.9 miles an hour, actually down 2.2 miles an hour from the year before. He also hit 36 home runs in just 126 games. That's to say, this boy has got some power. He loves hitting fly balls with an 18.3 degree launch angle, but he also loves to strike out, striking out on a quarter of his at-bats. This all-or-nothing approach placed him second amongst first basemen in expected slugging at .576, only behind Howie Kendrick, who was an absolute beast in his condensed opportunities last season. Matt's weighted on base was only 7th among first basemen, but his expected weighted on base was number 4. He doesn't walk as much as some of these other guys, but he's for sure a dangerous threat with the bat. But that hasn't even gotten to why he's number 2 on this list. And that's because of his defense. His outs above average were a ridiculous 12, 3 higher than the next player, Christian Walker, and his defensive runs saved was at 13, his second straight year in double figures. I'm a man who respects the D, and that's why he's number 2 on my list. Number 1, Freddy Freeman, and it's not really even close. Now that Paul Goldschmidt's dropped to second tier status, Freddy is the lone true superstar first baseman, as far as I'm concerned. Since exploding in 2016, Freddy has posted a composite slash line of 303, 393, 549, almost the exact same as Christian Yelich, who has posted a 308, 393, 541 slash line over that same span, both rocking a 392 weighted on base. In other words, Freddy has established himself as one of the game's elite hitters over the past 4 years. He hits lots of line drives, can take you deep, hits doubles for days, and will take his walks. A good defender and not a bad base runner. There's not much bad you can say about Freddy Freeman, our number 1 first baseman. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like even if you didn't, and subscribe even if you don't care. Have a nice life. Peace.